if parents get in, if they're Christians, and in the case you're presenting to me, they are Christians, then you have to accept marriage for what it is. God made marriage. We're not free to take this part and leave that part. It is a package deal. There's fundamentally three reasons that God fashioned marriage for man. One is to provide a way for him to overcome his own, what the great Tertullian in 3rd century called the virus of lust. St. Paul says this in 1 Corinthians 7, because of fornication, let every man have his own wife and let every woman have her own husband, right? This is a solution. This is a solution for our sexual desire.
Can I pause you before you go to 2 and 3?
Of course.
I think this is a common misunderstanding in the church and among Christians and maybe conservatives. This idea that, well, the man and the woman need to channel their lust. And usually it's focused around the man, which is a little funny to me because it's like women, we have this sort of attitude or posture that women are less sexual than men. And that's, I don't think true, but that's another issue.
It is, but it's an important one, so you can bring it up later.
Okay, so we'll get there too. But there's this posture about marriage that, you know, and it's the criticism of the Catholic Church sometimes. Well, if the priest could just get married, then we wouldn't have had the sex abuse scandals of the pedestry and the pedophilia against the young boys. And it's like, wait a minute, you don't want to marry a man who has sexual inclinations that he's acting upon boys, you know, that he should go to jail, right? If he's acting upon them. And if he has those strong impulses, he needs therapy and exorcism. You know, he needs support. He shouldn't be channeling it into marriage, right? So can you help explain, in your view, what this actually means? This idea of burn, you know, St. Paul saying, if you're going to burn with passion, then you should marry.
Yes.
It's not saying, oh, you can lust now within your marriage. No, it's not saying that at all. But I think that needs to be clarified because I think it's a common misunderstanding today.
Man and woman were created with desire for one another. And the church fathers say that man and woman were created as one flesh. They weren't created as one flesh by sexual union in paradise. As I mentioned earlier, Eve was taken from the rib cage of Adam by God's own hands. The incredible 3rd century church father, St. Methodius of Olympus, in his incredible treatise on the marriage banquet, describes how lovingly God put Adam to sleep. He gave him, you know, this sedative so that he wouldn't feel anything when God did this surgery to take his rib out, because God didn't want him to associate any pain with the creation of his wife. And then he chose to take her from his rib. He didn't take her, I always remind men, from the man's foot. He took her from his rib. And what does the rib do? It guards the heart on the side as his companion. It's a symbol of what role the wife plays in marriage. She is the guardian of her husband's heart. I would also argue she's the heart of the family. He's the head, but she's the heart. And she's his companion in life. And he was, St. Methodius says that when God was doing this, he put him also into a sleep. It wasn't just knocking him out, but he was in this beautiful sleep so that she could, in this sense of great eros of love in his life, the woman comes forth and then he sees her in front of him. They lived one flesh union. And that one flesh union was also a union of their minds, right? The good marriage is a marriage that the husband and wife work towards concord. They work towards a common vision in life. This is one of the most repeated things in the marriage service. In the back of my book, it's a good time, I think, to hold it up. I wrote this pre-marriage manual, Enduring Love, Laying Christian Foundations for Marriage. In the back of the book, I have actually the liturgical text for the Eastern Orthodox wedding service. And I reference it constantly because there you see the emphasis of the church. And it's the same in traditional Western marriage rites, Catholic marriage rites. The emphasis on praying for their homonia, it's the word. It means harmony or concord, and it's repeated over and over and over. And it's something that is a gift from God, but also is cultivated by the couple.
Well, that's the source of all divorces, a lack of concord, a lack of harmony.
Yes. Embracing the task. You know, when you're learning something as a married person, you learn it as a married person. I always tell husbands and wives, look, if you learn something new and it's important, digest it, understand it, but don't go on until you've sat down with your spouse and talked about it. You learn together, you move together, or you might find that in a year, if you have been selfish or functioning as a single person when you're not a single, ontologically, you're done. You're not a single person anymore. You are a married person. The same thing can be paralleled with a priest. When a priest becomes a priest, it's not a functional reality. His ontology has changed. He is a spirit bearer who performs the mysteries and communicates God's blessing. He may be in the shower, in his birthday suit, so to speak. He is a priest. Catholics don't make priests. Ordination and the grace of God make priests. And it's the same with the married life. When you're married, you're married. You carried yourself as a married man and as a married woman, even if you're not together. And cultivating this harmony, working together to learn, to grow, to develop, to acquire new ambitions. You have to do this slowly and carefully with your spouse. You can't just run ahead like you're some single person. No way. 100%. Which means, of course, that you have to moderate yourself. You have to be able to have
and you
the
have to
dignity.
be patient. And that's such a lost art today.
And listen and talk and make progress together. But if you do that, then you're taking steps together, right? You're actually strengthening yourself. That kind of cultivated friendship is also one of the reasons that God fashioned marriage. He fashioned marriage to overcome our sexual deviancy, our mess, which is something that happens over time. So you asked me the question about marital relations when you're young. It is a solution for your passion, right? You confine it and you demand that it be associated with love. And that's how it's tamed. That's how it goes from something that's wild, that's bestial and degrading and self-centered. That's how you switch it from that to something that actually communicates love and builds unity. St. Gregory the theologian says that kind of cultivated marital sexuality functions like a super glue. And the knowing each other as one flesh, and then from that also being able to have children and multiply the image of God, which was, by the way, the first commandment that went into the human ear, be fruitful and multiply, is 1.6 being fruitful and multiply. I'm sorry, that's not even reproducing yourself. That's killing the human race. It's not even multiplying it at all. 2.1 is necessary just to reproduce yourself. That's not multiplying either.
Oh, interesting. Multiplying is at least what, 4?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.